Okay, this is something else I've been wanting to do for quite a while. You've probably seen that there are things on the layout, names and everything, and I wanted to just show you all what everything means on the layout. It starts out with Fulton Station. This layout represents Fulton as I remember it when I was a kid. Now, we used to have trains that would come right into town and you could jump on a train and go to New York City. But those trains stopped running in the 60s, unfortunately. Now, generally, next to your train station, you have a post office. So, we've got the post office here. And right near the station, we've got Del Prior's Trackside Restaurant. Now, this building was named after a friend of mine, Cheryl Del Prior. She married my best friend, Chuck Weaver, and she was quite a good cook. So I gave her her own restaurant. Then, as an ad for the restaurant, I have this. Are you hungry? Then stop by Del Prior's Trackside Restaurant because you should eat and rest. I guess that's something that Cheryl's grandmother would always tell somebody if they weren't feeling well. They needed to eat and rest. Now, this poster here, need a lawyer? Call Rocky Del Prior, attorney at law. Let Rocky fight for you. Then 315-572-3748. That was my best friend Chuck Weaver's cell phone number. He passed away a couple years ago. Now, this, Joey's Record Shop. And up on top, we have WYNO, one and only one. Everybody that knew my brother Joey knew that he loved music and he collected records. So I gave him his own record shop. Joey also always wanted to be a disc jockey. And he even made demo tapes that he would send to radio stations hoping to get a job as a disc jockey. But he never did. And his station was called WYNO, Wino, and it was 99.9 FM. This right here, Hudson's Dairy, that's one of the few dairies in Fulton that's still running. I went to school with the guy who runs it now, Dan Hudson. There used to be Gillespie Dairy, Rogers Dairy, and Triangle Dairy. Hudson's Dairy's the only one left that I know of. Then you have Mike's Corner Store. Cheryl Del Prior's dad, Mike Del Prior, ran a grocery store on the north side, and it was called Mike's Corner Grocery. Here we have Chuck's Billiards. And we got down as well. Chuck's Billiards was named after my best friend Chuck Weaver. Chuck Weaver was the best pool player I ever met. And I adopted a lot of the ways that he would shoot the ball. He was just an incredible shot at pool. Next door we have the general store. It's called Stitches and Niches General Mercantile. Stitches and Niches was my sister Sandy's crafting business. So I gave Sandy her own store. Here we have Fulton TV and Appliance. Anybody that lived in Fulton will know about Fulton Television and Appliance. This phone number here is the actual phone number for Fulton TV and Appliance. It was run by Steve Abraham. Sadly, it's gone out of business. Here we have the theater. Now this is based on the State Theater, which was downtown in Fulton, right where Towpath Towers is now. If you ever wondered what the State Theater looked like, it looked identical to Oswego Theater. It was 2 stories, just like Oswego. Now over here, we have Samantha's Curious Creations, sold at Stitches and Niches. This is Samantha Oss. She has her own business where she makes things out of plastic. She has her own name for it. I don't recall what it is. I call it Samantha's Curious Creations. This is my friend Leslie Murray. She died a couple years ago. She was just walking across the street and it was a freak accident. She got hit by a car. She always wanted to be a model. And the ad says, "Don't hate me because I'm beautiful. I shop at Victoria's Secrets. You should too." And then in script, Leslie. And then down below it says, "Shop at Victoria's Secrets." Leslie does. Then over here, we have Crispy's Tavern. Crispy's Tavern is named after Chris Caruana. Chris Caruana marched to a different drum, and Chris Caruana pretty much followed his own rules. He's definitely a rebel. And if Chris Caruana had a bar, there would probably be people mattresses up on the roof and people getting it on. And here we have motorcycles parked. Now this car right here, once a train passes, I will explain the license plate. It says Barracuda. Now Samantha's dad owned a 1971 Plymouth Barracuda. When he was out driving with it one day, the transmission went and it would only go backwards. After that, they called it the Barracuda. So that's her dad's Barracuda. Here I have West Broadway, the sign. Now that used to be what you'd see when you went into Fulton, a city with a future. Unfortunately, they took that down in the 80s, or I think early 90s, and it's just welcome to Fulton. Now this building over here is Sprecher Brewery. It represents the Miller Brewing Company. In fact, you will see over here on the billboard it says Miller. And I'm promoting the Syracuse Train Show, the official beer of the Syracuse Train Show. Now, over here, we have Seal-Rite. Seal-Rite today is Huhtamaki. It got bought out by Huhtamaki, but it's still Seal-Rite. It's been in business for over 100 years. I worked there as a security guard for about 5 years. And my uncle worked there. A lot of people in Fulton worked there. In fact, if you live in Fulton, you probably either worked at Seal-Rite or Nestle. Next, we have Dragon Freight. This building is named after my brother-in-law, Rich Foltz. I asked him what did he want his freight company to be named after, and he said Dragon Freight. Now over here, we have Do It Best, Burke's Home Center. That is Fulton's hardware store. So I got the hardware store, and I named it Burke's Home Center. Now this is the toy and hobby shop. Let's maneuver over here. JR Junction. Train and Hobby. That's where I get my train stuff from. It's kind of difficult to see. Now that vehicle right there, that Pepperidge Farm truck, that was Bob Weston's, Mr. Weston. My brother worked for him for quite some time, and he was kind of like an uncle to us. He was a really nice guy. He was the unofficial mayor of Fulton. If you needed something, have something done, he could probably get it done for you. Now over here we have a woman taking a bear for a walk, and there are 4 raccoons coming alongside of her right near Weston Way. This represents Samantha Ost. Her neighbor thought that there was an animal in their attic, so Samantha went over, found 4 baby raccoons and a dead mother that had apparently been hit by a car and had tried to return home to her young. She had a cat that had just had a litter, so she brought the cubs, the raccoons, home. Their eyes weren't even open yet, and they nursed off her cat. Her cat raised them, and then once they got old enough, she contacted the conservation department, and they came over, and they picked them up. And those 4 raccoons are in were eventually taken to Pennsylvania. Now here we have the Fulton TV and appliance delivery truck, backed at the loading dock for Fulton TV and appliance. Here we have a blonde woman and a brunette. They're taking a selfie in front of a Shelby. They represent Jen Brisk and her sister Pixie. Their dad owned a Shelby, so I've got them over there taking a picture in front of a Shelby. This car here is the Bullitt car. It's not the same that Steve McQueen, not the same color that Steve McQueen drove in the movie Bullitt, but because that was green, but this is blue. It's the closest thing. It's one of the highest priced muscle cars ever. This is a 79 Pontiac Trans Am. It has, on the license plate, it says Big Daddy. You probably can't see it at this distance. This is my friend Brian Soliday's car. Pretty much anything I ever want to know about cars, Brian can tell me. Here you have the Hudson Farms pickup truck for the farmers market. There's Hudson Dairy and there's Hudson Farms. I believe Hudson Farms is run by Dan Hudson's brother Eric, if I'm correct. Even this tree has a significance. This tree we call the Charlie Brown Christmas tree. When my brother was in 6th grade, I believe, he brought home the class Christmas tree, and my dad nursed it through the winter, kept it alive. We planted it in our backyard. It took root and grew, and then when Joey bought the house next door, we transplanted the tree in front of his house, and it's got to be 30 or 40 feet tall now. Okay, if you look right here, you will see 2 kids. You will see a man sitting in the center, and over here on this side, you will see a man and a woman. The brunette represents Jen Brisk. The little blonde girl next to her represents her sister Pixie, and the woman sitting across, that represents her mother, and the man sitting next to her represents her dad. She told me about a trip she took to Florida when she was a kid, when her and Pixie were kids, and it was after her father died, so I had her father there in spirit. And there was a man that was standing next to them a lot of the time on the train, and he kept complaining about a boil on his butt, and he couldn't sit down. And then when he did sit down, the boil popped, and they had to get him in the luggage car to get a clean pair of pants. So the guy right there, that's the man with the boil on his butt. Now the train that's coming around, there are some significant cars on that. Allied Chemical, people will remember that. Sunoco, there used to be an ethanol plant. Miller, the Miller Brewery, which is where the ethanol plant opened, which is what the ethanol plant was converted into. Okay, I think I've pretty much covered about everything. And that's it for now. I'm going to post this up on YouTube and Facebook. Oh, wait a second. I have one more building to represent. Right over here. This is my high-rise building. Helicopter pad on the roof. It is the Steelrite World Headquarters. This represents the paper mill building, which was tore down, and there's a parking lot there now. It wasn't 6 floors. It wasn't 6 stories. It was basically two floors. But that's where the headquarters for Steelrite was. The president of the company, Arthur Ashe, ran the whole Steelrite operation right from the Fulton office. And that takes care of the video. Oh, I forgot also one last thing. This cow pasture I put in for my sister Sandy. She passed away last year. Sandy loved cows, and I put this in for her. And I also have a sign there that says Sandy's Meadows, the Western Experience, trail rides and cattle drives. I did that in Sandy's memory. And that takes care of the layout. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask.